Hi guys, I am back again. Don't mind my voice. I seem to have, I don't know what going on, but my voice keeps going in and out today. My throat is pretty raw, but I'm just trying to get everything done that I can. We're hoping that, sorry, I'm going to walk over to the sink. The kitchen is a disaster, and I wanted to get this disaster cleaned up before I cleaned up the kitchen, so I figured I'd take you along with me. So on the table here, I am working on making, oh God, my voice sounds horrible. It is sore, but I don't know what from. So don't mind my voice. Please forgive me. But anyway, us moms know no matter how bad or horrible we feel on any given day, we still have crap that's got to get done. So I am making basically some DIY helper meals, kind of like the hamburger helper, the chicken helpers, or tuna helpers if you like those that you see in the store. Trying to do like a homemade version of them, not necessarily to see as far as cost effective. Obviously we want it to be more cost effective, but my main concern is taste and hoping they taste better. So I'm going to run through as quickly as possible the ingredients that I have, and then I'll kind of show you how I set myself up to make these quick and as painless as possible. All of these were bagged up yesterday just to try to make my life easier when I was trying to put these together today. So I've got here gallon size Ziploc bags. These are freeze-dried Thrive Life chopped chicken, freeze-dried sausage crumbles. This here is whole vitamin D powdered milk. I've got this in the Mexican section of the Walmart, the ethnic section, however you want to call it, in with the tacos and the tortillas and enchilada sauce and all that kind of stuff over there. I got it to try it out. I normally get the non-fat powdered milk in the baking aisle. But it's not, number one, it's expensive as hell. Anybody will tell you that. And it is not the best tasting. So I got this for two purposes. I like to keep powdered milk on hand because I do use it in my breads. I have gotten a small can from Thrive. I'm going to test that out too to see how that does in my bread. But I wanted to see if this was better in as a powdered milk item in like my homemade, hot cocoa mixes, and whatnot, and in my bread. And just in general, I like to keep powdered milk on hand for in case of emergencies. Say, for example, I'm making dinner and I need milk for something, and I realize, hey, I don't have any milk right now. I can mix up something really quick to make do until I can get to the store. So that's that's what this is. So again, it's in Spanish because that was the area that I got it from. I also have 6 small cans of tomato paste. Sorry, I'm hoping my voice holds out through this. I have no idea what the problem is. But these are 6-ounce cans of tomato paste. And these are 14.5 ounces cans of diced tomatoes and tomato juice. I try to do tomato juice or water whenever I can. When I'm buying something canned like that for like chicken or tuna, I try to buy it in water. I don't like the ones in oil for some reason. I don't know why. I just never have. Taco seasoning, and the ones that I made up, I did basically two kits in taco seasoning. I didn't even use half of one package of taco seasoning mix, which is fine because we eat tacos like they're going out of style here, so I'm not worried about having that excess of taco seasoning. This is a bag of a little over half a cup of dehydrated mushrooms that I did myself on the dehydrator. They were like pre-sliced and pre-washed mushrooms. I put on the dehydrator and then I put through my food processor. I did not grind them fine because my boyfriend does like them to have chunks in them. So that's going to go in one of the kits. My plan is to make, I have 7 different kit ideas, and my plan is to make 2 of each kit. Excuse me. And I'm going to send one of each kit for him to try, and I'm going to try one of the kits here with Sky and Graham when she comes back home from the hospital, and we'll see which ones we like and which ones we don't like. Now, I realized as I was printing out all of my fancy crap that I did not get cans of diced potatoes. I don't know how I overlooked it, but that's something that I'll have to get. I'm going to get 2 cans of that, at least 2 cans of that, because it only calls for 1 can. And they're going to be roughly about the same size of the diced tomatoes. Again, I imagine you can do bigger cans of diced tomatoes if you like diced tomatoes. Me and Sky don't really care for a whole lot of tomato stuff. Nana does. She loves fresh tomatoes. She loves, I don't mind diced tomatoes in some things. I'm not a big fan of raw tomatoes. The texture is not me. But I don't mind. I like having diced tomatoes in, say, like my minestrone soup when I'm making that, or in my chili, or something along those lines. I do like diced tomatoes in. So, again, depending on the number of people you're planning on feeding with the kit, I imagine that this kit would probably feed maybe 2 people. And the reason I say that is because I don't care how many times it says on those boxes that you buy from Walmart that they feed 4 people. I can never see one box feeding 4 people. And, between me and my boyfriend, which that's a whole nother discussion, which I'll talk about him once I'm there and you guys can see him. We've been together for quite some time. We have 4 kids together, and our 4 kids are not skinny. We're eaters. All of us are. We eat. We love to eat. We love food. I think Sky is the skinniest of all of us, all 6 of us kids and adults combined, and she can still out-eat all of us adults. So I try to think about sizes of appetites too when I'm figuring these in. So again, this is going to be more for something when it's just him for the night and he doesn't have the kids or whatnot. So. Or if he only has one of the kids. He'll figure that out himself. But it's more or less a taste test. And then if I'm going to be making it for dinner for a larger group, it would probably be something I would need at least 2 of these kits for, or I would need to double or triple it, and so on and so forth. So I've got the tomatoes. Again, I need to get a couple of cans of diced potatoes. And then of my seasonings, again, I got the taco seasoning and the mushrooms. Then I used, I'm going to try to get you some closer. I'm going to put you on the tripod once I go through all of this stuff with you guys. I got black pepper, chili powder, garlic powder, basil, Italian seasoning, paprika, onion powder, another paprika, parsley. Then I had salt, and I guess that was it. Oh, and I'm sorry, some sugar. Some of these do have sugar in them. I think all of them actually do. And then in here I have already pre-measured out all of the seasoning packets, quote unquote, and I did mark them so I knew which ones for which, because they don't all necessarily have the same thing in them. And I will leave, I'm trying to figure out the best way to get you guys the written stuff on this. I do have a blog, so I may just post it as a blog post and give you a link below for it, because I honestly think it would take way too much time to type all of this out for you, but I'm not sure yet. So again, I have 2 of each kind, and I have 7 kinds. I've got a Salisbury, a taco, a potato, and once I sit down and can go through the cards with you guys, I'll get more specific as well. So let me see. Here's my 2 lasagnas. I don't have a chili spot yet. Chili, Salisbury. And the reason I'm pulling these season packets out is because some of the other stuff that I need is underneath of them. Taco and potato. And in these seasoning packets, these are the ingredients that I use for them. Everything on the table here, with the exception of the salt and sugar, were what I used to make everything here. Then you'll need elbow macaroni, some kind of egg noodle. Size would be at your point, it would be your preference, whichever kind you like. If you like the wide ones, these tend to be the ones that I prefer. And then there is a couple down here, bags of instant rice. And then, like, again, I've got them all portioned out so that all I have to do is grab it based on which ones I'm doing. I did go ahead and create, like, to make cards, however you want to call it. And again, I do have these, you know, ready to go, trying to figure out how the best way to get them to you guys. And I did create full pages so that you can print it out. You can cut out the bottom if you want it that way. I went ahead and printed out a full sheet for all of them for myself. And I did, because again, there's 7, so they're on even numbers. I did double side them and laminate them so that I can keep these. The only downfall for that is I should have probably waited to do this until after we tasted them, because if there's one that we don't like, I'll have to reprint it. But whatever, it's fine for right now. That's not a high expense item. So, and then here are the little cheater cards that I made for myself so that I know what I need to assemble. This was before I printed all this stuff up. This is what I needed for each of the seasoning packets and how I broke it down so that I could sit on the couch and create those. And again, these I will go through once I can flip you around, once I've got you on the tripod. So I'm going to pause here, get you set up on the tripod, and get me a glass of water for my dry throat, and then we'll get started. Be right back. Since I've already mixed up all the seasoning bags, I went ahead and put all the seasonings out of the way just to give me a little bit more room to work. Again, I've kind of created all the ingredient lists and whatnot, and I will find a way to either put them in the box below or leave you a link to where you can get them. I got these recipes from different Pinterest posts. So these are not my recipes, but as I try different ones, because I do have some other meals in a jar and DIY rice flavoring kits that I want to try out too. As I've tried them and know how they taste and whether or not we like them or whatnot, I will adjust them from there and make them a little bit more for me. So what I've got here are, again, I'm making 2 of each of the 7 kits as basically a trial run to see which ones he likes and the kids like there and which ones me, Sky, and Nana like. So I've got a card for each of them that's going to go into the baggie. That way I'm not having to fumble and search around later on for how do I make this again, because I'm never going to remember it. And I just know myself and know that when I go to make them, I'm never going to be able to find the recipe I'm looking for again. I don't care how well organized I am, that seems to be how it works for me anyway. So what I did is I created the full sheet, and I realized it might be upside down for you guys. I'll try to flip it around so it's not, but regardless, it'll either be in the comments below, in the box below, typed out fully, or there'll be a link, possibly even both, because I know I'm not going to be able to put this card separately down below. So what I will probably end up doing is taking a picture of these and then posting them in a regular blog post and attaching a link. Some way, somehow, I'll make sure you guys get a copy of it. But this is how I did it. So I took it and printed out the whole thing, added a text box, and added the, how to make it card. That way, if you're giving these out as a gift, which they would make nice gifts, especially for, say, a wedding shower gift for a new couple, birthday gift, holiday gift for, say, a younger sibling, younger cousin, maybe who's getting their first apartment, a cousin who's, because I have lots of cousins and family members. We are a big eating family. We love to eat, but not all of us in the family like to cook. Most of us, don't get me wrong, some of us do like it, some of us love it, and others despise cooking and will do everything they can to avoid it. So this is a way of giving them a home-cooked or a semi-home-cooked meal without the effort, time, and the hatred of cooking if they're just not interested. And frankly, there are people that just aren't interested in cooking, and we get that. Like my aunt and uncle that live here in town, my aunt she'll do dishes all day long if it means she don't have to cook. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean she can't cook. There are some things that she cooks very well, and there are some meals that she likes to cook. But for the most part, the cook in the house is my uncle. He usually makes most of the meals, and he enjoys it. And, it works for them. So who is anybody to complain if it's not something that works for them? My cousin, My cousin David's getting married the end of June, and I apologize for my giggle, but you probably saw one of their wedding shower games for my cousin's soon-to-be wife, and they talk about it. She does not cook. She hates cooking. She wants nothing to do with it. She loves to bake, but she can't stand cooking. But he does a lot of the cooking because he's usually home first. He's going to school to be a teacher. She's going to school and working full-time as an RN. So, you know, it just depends on your schedule and what works in your household. But he's the cooker and she's the baker, and that's just how it seems to work for them. So, hey, whatever works for you. But this would be something... Sorry, this whole voice thing is driving me nuts. But this is something that if I had found before for their wedding shower, I would have set up for them. You know, just to me, this is something that's useful and that a lot of people do appreciate, especially people who are not, it's not that they can't cook, but they just don't like to cook. So I did, again, I got these from a couple of different, I honestly think it was the same person, but just a couple of different posts through Pinterest that I found these ones, and I found a bunch of other ones. Like I said, I'm still working on those too. So I've got it broken down into the quote-unquote kit, and it tells you what you need, whether it's the egg noodles, you know, any extras like canned items, the seasoning packet, and any extras that they'll need at the time that they go to cook it. So for this one, this is the Salisbury hamburger helper meal. And really, it doesn't have to be a hamburger. It could be whatever kind of meat you want. But I've got the ingredients for the seasoning packet, which, again, I already have made up here, so it's ready to go. It's just a matter of it needs to be thrown into the bag with the rest of the things that it needs. And then the extras are the things that you need when you are actually going to make it. For example, this one, you need a pound of ground beef. Again, if you're doubling or tripling the recipe, then you're going to want to double or triple the meat as well. Or if you are a vegetarian, you don't need to put in ground beef. Put in, you know, if you like tofu, you know, whatever you prefer, whether it's, okay, you don't want meat in it at all, then do it in mushrooms. You know what I mean? You don't have to put meat in it. Or if you have a family and you're trying to stretch it, okay, then say you're doing a triple batch. Instead of doing 3 pounds of ground beef, you could do 1.5 pounds of ground beef and do some mushrooms in it. That's going to help stretch it and not be as expensive because you're lowering the cost of the meat. And we all know meat is the most expensive part of a meal. So just for example, but this one needs 1 pound of ground beef with 3 cups of water and 1/2 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. I'm sorry. Worcestershire sauce is how I've always was taught to pronounce that word. I don't think anybody ever pronounces it correctly. Honestly, don't know what the correct way to pronounce that is, but that's how I've always pronounced it. So I hope I don't offend anybody. If you pronounce it differently, rock on for you. Pronounce it how you pronounce it. As long as we know what we're talking about, I guess that's all that's important. And then I've got up above is just a basic how to put it, you know, you brown the meat first, add the rest, bring it to boil, and so on. So I made it very simple, sweet, and to the point. And then the how to make it is a little bit more in depth into how to do it, when to add what, just because if you are giving this to someone as a gift, for somebody who is used to cooking and knows the basic steps in a hamburger helper or chicken helper meal kit to begin with that you're buying, you kind of have an idea of what you're going to do. You're going to brown up your meat till it's not, you know, not red anymore, or, you know, not raw anymore, and then you're going to, you know, basically dump everything else in. So this way, for someone who's not used to or has never cooked with any of those, you kind of have a little bit more of a leeway, and you can give it as a gift without having to give everything if you don't choose to. And again, I've broken that down for every one, every different one. So there's Salisbury, there's a chili mac, cheese jambalaya, cheeseburger mac, lasagna helper, a potato stroganoff, which I'm intrigued by this one. I've not had a potato stroganoff. I'm not a super big fan of stroganoffs to begin with because, again, I'm not a big mushroom person, and most stroganoffs do have mushrooms in it. But that doesn't mean that this can't be good without it. So I'm intrigued by this one the most, the potato stroganoff, and for some reason that's the one I missed the can of diced potatoes on. I don't know how I overlooked that. And then the last one is a taco helper. So, they're sticking to my arms. I'm sweating and talking. And then again, I've got And I laminated these little cards because my plan is, of course, to keep these. If we like them, we'll keep the card for them. If we don't like them, we'll throw the card away, and it's not an issue. And again, I'm going to send a copy for him in each of the bags, and I'm going to keep a copy here for me in the bags that I've got here. That way, I'm not trying to dig around and trying to remember what else I was supposed to add to something. It takes the guesswork out of it. If I'm having a bad fibro day where my brain just is not functioning properly, which it does happen, and unfortunately for me it happens more often than I care to admit, and for me it is very frustrating. So I'm trying to make this as simple and as, okay, there's no nice way to say it, as dummy proof as I can make it for myself, if that makes any sense. And the reason I say it that way is because, again, I am an educated woman, and I'm not saying that that means that I am highly intelligent, but I've always considered myself highly intelligent, highly educated. And for someone to struggle, for someone like me to struggle to come up with basic words at times, it is very frustrating. It can be very humiliating. So I want to make this as simple on myself, as frustration-free as possible. So that's why I've created these cards. So, and again, that way I'm not searching for everything when the time comes and I need them. So, now what I'm going to do is, I've got my cards, I've got, even on here, these are all basically, you just shove and go. And I've got it so that I can do this kind of like assembly line style and just take a bag, shove what I need in it, and go about my merry way. And that's kind of what I did with these assemble kits cards that I made up yesterday. And I took okay, the taco one, I need a bag of the rice. I need the diced tomatoes. I need the seasoning packet. And then the card. And so I've done that for all of them. Those ones might not actually be upside down for you. But I've done that for all of the different kinds so that I didn't have to go digging through my papers and, okay, what did I do with that one? What did I do with this one? And I did the same thing with these ones, kind of like an more inexpensive version of laminating the cards when I did the seasoning packets. Because what I did is I took the bin that I had all the noodles and the rice and stuff in, I took into the living room and I poured out a couple of bags of noodles into a big bowl, and then I just scooped and dumped and scooped and dumped and scooped and dumped. So I may have more of those than I need. And that's perfectly fine because noodles and rice and whatnot will be eaten in this house whether or not we're using them in a kit. So I'm not worried about that. And I just, again, I portioned them all out so that all I have to do is grab a baggie, add it to the bag, and I'm done. I need a drink of water. I'm going to pause you for a second. I'm going to tip you forward. I'm very long-winded today. It doesn't help that my throat is scratchy and dry, and talking is drying it out even more. So I'm going to move these two guys out of my way behind the tripod because I don't really need them right now because I already have everything else already set up for myself. Again, just makes my life a little bit easier. I did label the bags so that I knew which seasoning packet was for which. I don't feel the need to label the big bag because the card will be inside. If you want to label it, I'll leave that up to you. That is your right. If that is easier for you, go right on ahead and do it. Okay, so the first one I've got, I was smart, I would have just put these all in the same order, is the tacos, since I've got that first on my little cheat sheet cards. So I'm going to do those two bags first. I'm going to put the card in first. Grab the second one, that way these two kits will be done. And I can go about my merry way. I need the two seasoning packets. One in each. And again, I'm hoping that I have enough ingredients to make all of these. If I don't, then I will put in what I have and then purchase more the next time I go to the store to finish out the kits. So, next thing I needed is, because I guessed at how many diced tomatoes and how many tomato sauce pastes or whatnot that I would need. So, I kind of just went with an even number of each and figured I'd go from there. Okay, and again, in the tacos, if you don't like diced tomatoes in yours, you don't have to put them in. That's kind of an optional item, along with the tomato paste. If you like the tomato flavor of it, go ahead and add it. If you don't want any extra tomato flavor, then leave it out. That's perfectly. It's the one thing that's nice about these type of things is you can adjust it based on what you want and what you like. And these two both need rice. Okay. Okay, so I've got rice, diced tomatoes, and the seasoning packet. So these two are done. And I'm going to leave these be for now because that's basically all that's needed in them. I'm going to set these to the side. I'm going to add some of the sausage crumbles and some of the chopped chicken to some of these, just for sake of two birds, one stone, along the lines of, okay, this will save, okay, so if I send these kits to my boyfriend, he can try it out with the sausage in it, try the sausage crumbles, period, because they're a Thrive Life product and we're still new to them, or the chopped chicken, and see if he likes them, if that's something that we want to keep on hand. So it's kind of like I said, two birds, one stone. It's easier. This way he doesn't have to go to the store and get anything if he decides to try one of them out. He's just got everything he needs there. But I'm going to decide on that after I've got all the bags and figure out what I think would go best with what. Because I don't have any of the ground beef. I have just the sausage crumbles and the chicken right now for us to try out. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do is the cheese jambalaya. This one is actually quite nice in that you can kind of adjust this flavor to whatever you want, because it's listed as a pound of meat of choice, or as you could do ground beef if you wanted to, or you could do smoked sausage, andouille sausage, some other chicken sausage if you want to. You can do chicken, you can do, chicken thighs, you can do chicken breasts if that's what you prefer. You can throw some shrimp in there or some crab in there, whatever flavor you like, you can add to it. It's nice because this one is a little bit, because it's basically a cheese jambalaya, it's a bit more forgiving as far as what meat you're using. You're not kind of limited to what they would consider a traditional item in like a hamburger helper. Hamburger helper, typical, you're putting hamburger in it. Chicken helper, chicken. But this way you can kind of adjust it and put what you want in it. So the cheese jambalaya, I need rice, which those ones are always on the bottom because I think those were the last ones I did, so they went into the basket first. Okay, so these ones need rice. And I'm also curious to see when I do get these made up, how much they actually make. So when I do start making these, I will take you along with me. I will take you along with me on that as well to see, because some of the instructions, I'm not sure how accurate they are, especially these ones with the rice, because it's calling for instant rice, but it's telling you to simmer it for 20 minutes. And instant rice, the joy of instant rice is you don't have to simmer it. So I'm interested to see how that affects it and what the rice is, if it's going to be mush or if it's actually going to hold up, or if I need to switch it to regular long grain rice instead of the instant. So I'll take you along with me, and that way we can adjust it together. So I've got the rice, I've got the tomatoes, tomato paste, seasoning packet is next. Jambalaya, okay. Okay, good. I'm going to close these up, and I'm going to decide on the sausage crumbles and the chicken at the end once all of the kits themselves are made up. Because some of them, you can kind of see either one working, whereas other ones, not quite so much. So, okay, so cheeseburger. Okay, cheeseburger is next. This one's a little bit easier. There's not as much in it. I'm going to go ahead and put the seasoning packet in because it's right on top. I'm also curious how, especially with the Salisbury, there's no beef flavoring in there at all. So I'm curious as to how it gives the brown gravy type of flavor to it. So I'm kind of interested in seeing how a lot of these turn out. This one needs macaroni. And actually that's it. This one's quite simple and easy. Nothing extra special on that one. Trying to do this quickly because nobody wants to be bored out of their mind, right? Okay, so I've got lasagna and potato next, and chili and Salisbury. Okay, so we'll do the lasagna ones first. And I have a feeling I'm going to need to get a couple more cans of diced tomatoes as well, because I think that it would make sense for them to be in the chili too. And like I said, I was kind of guesstimating how many of them that I would need when I was in the store. I knew I needed them, I just didn't know how many, because apparently I wasn't smart enough to do that before I left. So these lasagna ones need the elbow macaroni, and these ones will take up the last cans of the diced tomatoes that I have. And we'll do a paste and the seasoning packet. And then smell that Italian seasoning in that seasoning packet. Ooh. Okay. Potato is next. So that seasoning packet. Again, I need the diced potatoes for these ones, and then one of them I'm going to stick mushrooms in. So okay, so I'm make sure I put on my list to get some more, or get some diced potatoes. So the last two to do are the Salisbury and the chili. So I'll need 2 more cans of diced tomatoes as well. So seasoning packet, and this one gets egg noodles. And that's pretty much it for this one. Okay, the last one is the chili, which I will need to get diced tomatoes for. But I do have the paste that I'll put in there, and I need a little macaroni for these guys. Okay, so I'll need to get some diced tomatoes for these 2 kits. Diced tomatoes and diced potatoes. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is set out one of each. Cheese and Salisbury. Salisbury and cheese. Lasagna. Taco. Cheeseburger and potato. cheeseburger and potato. Okay, so one set is for me, one set I'm going to send on. So I've got 3 bags of sausage crumbles and 3 bags of chopped chicken. And the potato, I'm not going to put any in that one because, you know, it's called potato stroganoff for a reason. So which ones do I think would be okay with the chicken? Honestly, I don't know that any of these would be okay with the chicken. But I don't guess it would make a difference. The one for sure that would make sense with the... I'm going to put sausage crumbles in the cheeseburger. I'm going to do chicken in the jambalaya. The cheese jambalaya. Okay. I'm going to do sausage and the Salisbury. This bag is our one that actually zip up on me. Oh yeah, now it zips up, figures. Okay. Okay, and I've got chili mac, lasagna, and taco helper left. I am going to put the sausage crumble and the chili mac. The other two I'm going to do chicken. And again, I still need to get another can of diced tomatoes, and I need to get a can of diced potatoes. But other than that, these kits are done. So I'm kind of excited to see what he thinks of these. I'll let you know once he lets me know. And I'll also let you know once I have tried them out for myself to see how they turn out. I'm sending in the chopped chicken and crumbles because I have some of the simple plate meals here that have the same thing in it, and I'll have an opportunity to try those then. So there you have it. I hope this was helpful. Again, I'll leave everything in the comments below, whether, you know, it's in the form of a link or actually typed out. And if you've got any questions, let me know. If you have any of them that you try out, let me know in the comments below and tell me what you think of them. And if there's any adjustments you would make to them. So I will see you next time, hopefully with a better voice.